This is Fredrick Bainomugisha from Fredisch farm. I'm very happy to host you and answer your questions on goat farming. How to manage 10,000 goats on a small budget. Yes, small budget, I think you meant if you have the cheaper materials or scarcity of resources in terms of land, in terms of capital to buy feeds, and also in terms of medication and prevention mechanism. So first and foremost, when you talk about numbers, we consider feeds first. So for feeds, if you are to manage these animals, you have to know the ratios of feeds to animals, and this comes into two questions. Number one would be, am I doing zero grazing? You have to make a decision on one of the two. If I'm doing zero grazing or I'm doing free range. Let's take an example of free range. Free range, you need to consider acreage. So in short, for free range, also you have to consider whether you are doing breeding or you are doing fattening. But if you are doing let's say breeding, you would need more or less land compared to one who is fattening. And per acre, you would count and say each acre or 1 acre you need a maximum 8 goats if you are doing breeding, because you have to consider the birth of the kids, and they have to be raised until 8th month when they are good enough to be disposed of, or up to 5 months when they are weaned, or 3 months if they are hybrids. 8 goats per acre, they would do very well for breeding. And for fattening, you would look at around 12 goats per acre. Okay, putting in constant supply of uniform pastures and shrubs on each acre, not like in some places where you find there is barren land where there is no grass. There are patches, in short. So that one won't give you the same ratio I'm talking about. Let's look at the side of zero grazing. This one will require very minimal land, because you have to consider where you plant your grasses. They are not stepped on by your animals, and maybe a half of the feeds are wasted through the injuries from the hooves of the goats. And dry season, when it comes, it just dries everything off. But with zero grazing, you see, you harvest during plenty of feeds in the rainy season, and then you store it, so you lose nothing. So in this case, you would say each acre you are expecting feeds to harvest. Let's say you planted like Bracharia morato 2, or you planted Chloris Guyana, which will give you a minimum 10 tons per acre of feeds. So a goat eating only 2 kilograms per day. So you would see, okay, do your mathematics. For example, if I was to do mathematics for you, I would say in a day they will have to eat 20 tons. So that is roughly they have eaten 2 acres in one day. Okay, because each acre we've looked at it as 10 tons. So they have eaten the one harvest in your acre. So if you look at it, the first season you've planted your feeds, it will take you 3 months for the feeds to mature completely. But after that, you will harvest every month. Every month you will harvest. So for the first month, you would have to consider a minimum to have 90 days feeds until you wait for the other feeds to grow, the ones you've planted. So you need to have feeds that can sustain your animals for 90 days. Those are 3 months. So in nutshell, you will need a minimum 180 tons of feeds. And then after that, then you are guaranteed your acreage will be able to sustain, because you can cut every month. Okay, so buying 10,000 animals, most people will tell you the more the animals, the more they get infected by diseases and so on. So to manage this with ease, and you need to consider basically feeds, which we've looked at, management, which will be split into two, where you manage the staff, and then you have to manage security, and then also you have to manage the treatment and diseases. So the bottom line would be you have to vaccinate. If you vaccinate your animals and you give them enough feeds, then you are good to go. But you have to calculate the feeds properly. If you say I'm feeding these animals per month, per day they are eating 20 tons, how many tons do I need in a month? Because now we are looking at second harvests of your feeds, where you need only 1 month. Get 20 tons, multiply by 30 days, that is 60 tons. Okay, that is 600 tons. So 600 tons divided by 10 tons per acre, then it will give you 60 acres. So you need 60 acres to sustain your animals, 10,000 goats on zero grazing.